Okay, we're going to get started. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Ken Rich, and I'm with the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. And for me, I'm particularly happy to be here today because I was one of the planners involved in working with the community and all the multiple city agencies about starting more than 10 years ago and creating the vision for this whole new neighborhood hub. And I can really testify to how much work and perseverance it took to get from that point until today, and how much everyone had to work together and overcome many obstacles to get here. And it's amazing that we're here today with this fantastic new neighborhood center, which includes new affordable housing, new market rate housing, a new neighborhood retail coming in, a new community open space, as well as a brand new, more functional transit hub for Muni. So without further ado, as our first speaker, I'd like to introduce someone who has spent most of the last 3 years working hard on affordable housing, neighborhood economic development, and neighborhood beautification, all of which come together right in this spot. Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken, and thank you for your good work. You're going to find out with all of the different speakers, and if you study this particular site, where it's located, what it was involved to get this site going, you'll find a lot of different interests that had to come together. And if there was any site that needed the consensus of so many different interests, this one is reflective of it. You got City College right there, which, by the way, we're going to save and rescue and make sure their accreditation stays, because that's a wonderful institution, and the students and the administration are part of this development and this whole corridor. But I've got a lot of friends down here because I live just less than 3 minutes away. And Dan Weaver and I used to go pole to pole and take off those stickers voluntarily when I was at DPW. And we knew years ago this is going to be a great place for investment, private investment, public investment. That's why you see a great mix, whether it's Mercy Housing with Doug Schumacher's leadership, working with Bernal Neighborhood Center, or the Westwood Parks Association, or the CBD along this corridor, along with the fire department, the SFMTA, which Tom Nolan, Ed Riskin are all here today, our fire department today represented by BC, that's Battalion Chief Murdoch, or our real estate division, and John Updike, along with our city administrator, our housing development, Olson, their development group, again, working in concert. Supervisor Yee knows this. He knows all of the different entities that had to come together. Even the Presbyterian Church had to be here. Ingleside is represented here because it's part of this community. The Bank of America has found a nice investment for them and their resources to come and blend in with everybody's interests. This is a transit-rich corridor because of the bus loop, because of the way we've been evolving Ocean Avenue. You'll see it's a great investment. Now, having kind of mentioned all the different elements, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out, the OMI, the great, rich corridor that this has, let's talk about this project. You're talking about 71 units, all affordable units here. And that affordability is necessary for this city. And when you break that down, 45 of these units are directed at families and affordability for them. And the other units, 25 of those units, are dedicated to transitional age youth, people who are coming out of formerly being foster kids and into our system. We need to provide a great safe haven for them to live and to grow their lives. It's a great combination reflective of our city's values of helping everybody. We are and we will continue to be the city for the 100%. And these are populations that we want to have here. I think that the leadership of all these different neighborhoods centered in this corridor is a fantastic reflection of the spirit of a city. And we have made a great investment right here in this corridor. So that's why we thank all the different agencies, from MTA to real estate to everybody working together, because you're not going to find us being always going to be promoting market rate housing, which a lot of that is right next door. It's also going to be the housing for everybody else. And that's why Ocean Avenue is a great story to tell. I also want you to see the bigger picture, because last week we did the same thing in Chinatown North Beach. Same contractor, by the way, Cahill. Also christened the groundbreaking for some 75 units there in Broadway Sansom Street. And again, reflective of really hitting at affordability for us. In fact, citywide, I want you to pay attention now. Right now, today, there are over 11,600 units under construction citywide. 11,600. 25% of those under current construction are for permanent affordable housing in this city. That's the kind of commitment we're making. You know, some of the stories coming out saying, hey, you're building all this housing for people who might be, always being a lot more resources than what we think San Francisco is all about. Well, I think 25% of all the housing that's under construction is a great story. It's one that, again, reflects our values. This is a commitment we as a city family will continue making. It's a great investment. It's an investment for all of our values. How are we doing this is building consensus of the very people and the entities that are right here. And I must say, too, that we found a way to improve even our fire department station, because they're getting some improvements in the station that I think that they're appreciative of. And again, reflective of all of the different agencies that serve our community and are part of it. I am very proud of this project. I'm very proud of the consensus building, proud of the construction contractors who will, again, reflect their values about making sure there's local hiring going on at the same time. And this is why Supervisor Yee, Supervisor Avalos, and the others continue to have a conversation with us in our mayor's office to say, let's continue doing it. They're complicated. There's a lot of interests involved. But if I can lead the effort with everybody else to build consensus, to make sure we forge the right level of conversation at City Hall, we will get more and more of these projects and bless the way we do things in the city. Build consensus, get everybody involved, be the city for the 100%, and then we'll see the links between why we do market, why we do affordability, why we do TAY, why we do projects throughout the city. This is not downtown. This is in the Ocean Avenue corridor, but it is a transit corridor for the city, like all the others, and we want everybody to live all over the city in an affordable fashion. So thank you, everyone, for working together, for being part of this. Our transit agency, I think, is very proud because they want people next to good transit systems, and this loop offers that opportunity. Thank you, Supervisor Yee, for your help and leadership, and Supervisor Avalos, Bernal Neighborhood Center, you're an incredible partner in all this, and we'll get more housing in Bernal Heights as well. That's also affordable. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Our next speaker is Supervisor Norman Yee, the supervisor for this district.
Thank you. And acknowledge Mayor Lee's leadership in this. He doesn't get enough credit for what's going on in San Francisco in regards to affordable housing. Other leaders have talked about it over the decades, but I've seen very little done. And what I'm seeing now is the result of his leadership, his consensus building. And this is just one example of what we could do in this city to be able to build housing for a diversity of people to live in. It's really important for me. I can't take much credit for building this consensus. I live a few blocks from here. I follow my association during the time that this was being conceptualized and was supporting it. And so I want to give credit to my predecessor, Sean Ellsburn, who was a leader in putting people together. Certainly, one of the things I want to talk about is that not only is this about affordable housing, my lifetime experience is mostly in education and focusing more on young children and family. But one of the things that bothered me throughout my experience working for 4 decades on those issues is what happens to these kids that get into the foster system and at age 18 get thrown out into the street. And for years and years, people talked about and recognized that that's an issue. And I meet with people throughout the United States who are leaders in their own community, and we talk about these issues. But very little is being done for this set of our residents here. So it's real important for me to acknowledge the importance of this development, because to set aside 25 units, imagine this for you who are parents, who are middle income or high income. And when your kids turn 18, it's not like you don't support them anymore. They may move out of the house, but they know they can come back. They go to college, you support them. They need a car, you might support them. Whatever. Well, these kids don't have any support. So I'm real happy that District 7 could be part of that solution, and that I hope you join the rest of the partners here in congratulating them. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Supervisor John Avalos.
Thank you, Ken. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here, and our new District 7 Supervisor, Supervisor Norman Yee. This is a project that I'm particularly proud of. I'm really proud of the amount of advocacy and community work it's gone in conceptualizing this site. Back in 2006, I was not on the Board of Supervisors. I was a legislative aide, and there was a supplemental that came in the middle of a year that was for housing. And I worked very, very closely with community residents from all over the city to make sure that there was money for transitional-age youth that was part of that supplemental. And actually, those original dollars in 2006 helped to actually keep this project birth this project and keep this project going in all these years since then. So I want to really congratulate many of the housing advocates in that year and all the years that to follow that actually helped to keep this program going and keep it on the map. So of course, Bernal Heights and Mercy Housing for your advocacy work and your work in reaching out to the community and make sure that we can have family housing and Tay housing. Of course, I want to thank the Mayor's Office of Housing on housing and your work to actually keep this project and many other projects going in the pipeline so we can actually see that we're actually meeting our commitments for fulfilling the needs of many people who don't have adequate housing here in San Francisco. And what's also really exciting is the transformation that we're seeing along Ocean Avenue. We have this site here with Whole Foods and hundreds of units of housing here. And this is another part that's really completing this transformation that is going to bring great vitality to this part of town. And that's something that we really owe it to the residents here, that we actually make sure that we're building housing, building the transit infrastructure, and actually building communities that really support commercial development and economic vitality here. So thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's a really historic day for this part of San Francisco.
Our next speaker is Tom Nolan, the chairman of the SFMTA Board of Directors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, supervisors, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here on behalf of the MTA Board. We are so proud to be part of this. This really is a perfect development, bringing transportation, affordable housing together in this great part of the city. We are enormously proud to be a part of it. The land came from the MTA, and we're happy to support that. To my mind, this is a perfect example of creativity and cooperation. And it sets a great example, really, for all kinds of projects throughout the city. There have been others, but this really, combining the transportation like this and affordable housing, we're thrilled to be part of it. We have a contest going. I don't believe that's been mentioned yet. A very important contest. You get to name we're having a contest to name the plaza that's going to be here. Supervisor Yee told me you have to be dead to be named, have to have it named after you, so that cuts out some of us here. But at any rate, if you want to nominate, make a nomination for a name for the plaza, do so by contacting the MTA. It has to be done by the end of October. So thank you, and again, on behalf of Director Ed Riskin, who are our great leader, we're very happy to be part of this project. Thank you.
Our next speakers are Doug Shoemaker from Mercy Housing and Rachel Labor from the Bernal Heights Neighborhood Center, who jointly together are the developers of this project.
Magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, everyone. What a beautiful day it is today, and what a beautiful year. It's a milestone year for Bernal Heights Neighborhood Center as we celebrate our 35th year of preserving and enhancing the economic, cultural, and ethnic diversity of Bernal Heights and the surrounding neighborhoods. And this project right here is exemplary of how we meet our mission. We are proud that here at 1100 Ocean, we have a site that is the product of working closely with the Mayor's Office of Housing, with Mercy Housing, with the many community members in this neighborhood, and leveraging the many years of involvement that BHNC has had in District 11 and the Balboa Park Station area plan. As rents are increasingly making it impossible for many San Franciscans to stay in this city, we are tremendously proud and happy that right here on this site will be at least one building among the many buildings that the mayor has mentioned earlier that will provide 25 TAY units and 45 family units to keep many of our many adults and low-income families to stay in the city, to survive in the city, and to thrive in the city. So many thanks to you all. Please help us celebrate our 35th anniversary, October 3rd, at the Neighborhood Center, and celebrate this new development.
So my job is really to issue all the thanks. So I want to start with our partner, Bernal Heights Neighborhood Center. I know from many years, they really carried the torch for this project, along with many folks, and we're huge advocates for this site. I also want to just take a minute to thank both Ken and Lisa Pagan. The planners get very little credit in this world, and this was one of those examples of where the planning department and various planners and city staff spent many years, I would say, toiling in obscurity to make this happen. This wasn't an easy project. There were lots of things that had to happen, and the MTA and all of our other partners made it happen, but it really is an example of sort of a planning-led vision, which is sort of unusual, and I think they both deserve a lot of credit for moving this forward. I also want to thank our phenomenal architects, Herman Colliver Locus, and our phenomenal general contractor, Cahill Contractor. I don't think we have the big board up yet, but this project, like so many other affordable housing projects, is like it's got a list of like 30 funders. Actually, it's only like 7, but it always feels like more. It really starts with the mayor's office of, oh, we do have it. There you go. Thank you, Susie. I never have turned around, really. So I'm not an architect. I have spatial issues. But no, I just want to, I'm going to introduce Gabe from Bank of America in a minute, but obviously this begins a lot with Olson Lee, and in his previous role at the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency, this is sort of one of the last gasps of that work, so to speak. Olson, who's done a phenomenal job of leading now Mo and the Redevelopment Agency, and the Mayor's Office of Housing, and Anna Romero and other folks who spent a lot of time on that transition-age youth task force and trying to create a vision for housing for that group of folks that really no one in the country knew exactly what to do in terms of a housing solution. So I want to thank her and the rest of the Mo staff. HCD, which I'm not sure is here today, has provided us with a great deal of funding for this, along with the California Housing Finance Agency. I think that covers most of our funders. I'm going to look back at the board, see who I left off. Enterprise Community Partners. But I also want to take this opportunity to introduce Gabe Spire of Bank of America. They're a huge supporter of affordable housing work. In fact, the Bank of America Housing Challenge once had this site as an opportunity, I think maybe like a decade ago, to consider what would happen on this location. Amy's shaking her head because I think she was part of that. She was a student then. She was 13. So I want to introduce Gabe, who's a phenomenal partner to all of us, and Bank of America Merrill Lynch, who's provided both the lending and equity on this project.
Thanks, Doug. I'm going to just come out. Okay, that's better. All right, great. Well, good afternoon. As Doug alluded to, Bank of America is pleased to provide the $19.5 million construction loan and the $14 million direct tax credit investment for the development and operation of 1100 Ocean Avenue apartments. Yay, all right, thank you. So, oftentimes it takes months, years, or longer to build one of these projects, and in this case, that's no exception. As Doug alluded to, this project was first early conceived back in 2003. A group of students from UC Berkeley were sponsored by the Bernal Heights Neighborhood Center to compete in the Bank of America Low-Income Housing Challenge. And in fact, we have some of the students here today. If you want to wave, Amanda and Gita and Clay, I think, are here. And Amy Beinart with Bernal Heights helped them on this proposal, which is pretty cool that we have it right here. And now, unfortunately, the Berkeley team lost to Stanford that year, and Doug Shoemaker was a judge, so you can send your complaints to him. Oh, that's right. Doug went to Cal, yeah, so all right. Yeah, that was a tough decision. But seriously, to get from this business plan to today's groundbreaking took over a decade of hard work and perseverance by some dedicated, highly trained professionals, and those people deserve our gratitude and our thanks. All right, thank you. So congratulations to the city, Mercy Housing, Bernal Heights, the state, and all of our partners. On behalf of me and my team at Bank of America, we're just pleased to help out. Thank you very much.
So our last speaker is Dan Weaver, who I've known and worked with for many years, and I can attest is a complete and utter force of nature in getting things done for this neighborhood. And Dan.
Good afternoon. Today I'm representing the Ocean Avenue Community Benefits District, named the Ocean Avenue Association. The existence of an association west of Twin Peaks, a CBD, is testament to the fact that out here in the Ingleside, we are organized. This organization started back with a group that we formed of the different neighborhoods up and down the street called Ocean Avenue Renaissance 15 years ago, even before the students from Berkeley found their way here. What we wanted here, or what I believe the consensus was at that time, was that we wanted open space. We're standing in the future open space. We wanted housing and retail because we needed to have people watching the open space. Later on, the community was involved in a series of meetings, including Better Neighborhoods and the actual meetings to help design this building. And one of the things that came out of that meeting was a community proposal not to have the entrance over on Lee Street or on Ocean, but to have the entrance to the building, the pedestrian entrance, here onto the plaza. So those are examples of how the community's been involved here for at least 15 years. And we're pleased to see that this is finally moving ahead, along with a number of other projects along Ocean. Thank you.
So Reverend Gordon from the Ingleside Presbyterian Church would like to have one more word before we conclude.
Thank you. There's no way I could let this day go by without having one word to say. On this historic site back in the late 70s, early 80s, it was the eyesore of the community. And our ministry organized community residents, and also must have been about 200 people. Wendy Nelder was a supervisor at the time. They were on the hill back up here, and we did a cleanup project here. We went to the mayor at that time also a little later, and we planted palm trees out here and took it up on ourselves as a community to kind of keep this area together until this historic day. So I'm just so happy today to stand here and see what's transpiring along Ocean Avenue. It's been a long time coming, and we're very thankful.
Thank you all for your attention. We're going to ask the speakers now to gather around here, and we'll distribute the shovels.